Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mice, proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, CardHoarder.com, Alter Sleeves, as well as Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters just like yourself. My name is Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl.
Hey, guys. Welcome back.
Ruben Bressler.
Welcome back. How's it going?
We kind of figured out the week before last that the show would have been on Thanksgiving night, so we're like, we'll just have Thanksgiving, enjoy Thanksgiving. We'll see you guys that next Thursday. And of course, if you did miss our pre-show, subscribers to this channel get access to our NSFW version early. And we kick it off with our first pick in our giveaway. Get your chance at $50 worth of anything at CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat, but sub first to get 2 chances to win. And support your favorite streamer with your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight. That is thanks to our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day. They're awesome. Also my employer. That said, the thing that you could not miss as a Magic player who cares about Magic player discourse. My God, it was the 30th anniversary pack thing. This, if you happen to be under a rock, was Wizards announced this as a way to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the game by selling you 60 proxies, the non-tournament legal versions of beta cards in these packs. It went over like a lead balloon. I've been doing this a long time. Okay, I've been talking about Wizards and Wizards doing dumb stuff, and we lived through the Silver Showcase and all the good stuff. The Jace coin, remember the Jace coin thing? Mm-hmm. It was just, there's some wild, crazy stuff. This is easily in the top 5 worst things Wizards has ever done. It did not go over well. No one in the collector market seemed to like it. Certainly no one in the Magic community seemed to like it or appreciate it. It was so bad the toxicity got thrown all over like Yu-Gi-Oh creators and stuff of these people having to create apology videos because they unboxed the product for their audience because it's so blatantly predatory in a way. There is a world, I'd like to think there is a universe where this didn't happen and the celebration could still have gone on. And maybe there were boxes that looked like beta boxes that would just have a little 30th anniversary stamped on them. Maybe you could have gone to your local store and done a beta draft and then not cost, hundreds and $1,000 or whatever. But the world we live in, they created this product and they talked about it and they hyped it up and they put it on sale for approximately 39 minutes. And that is when it was no longer on sale. A kind of cryptic, the product is unavailable and thanks for joining us during the sale period kind of showed up, which was a little weird. And at this point, there have been a giant mound of rumors over how much sold, how much didn't sell, how Wizards should hopefully never do this again. I've never seen such a crazy debacle in all my life. And you have the whole, why should you care? Because you're never going to buy it. It's never going to impact you versus how do you do this to our beloved game? That's where we're at.
Yeah, I think for me, the appropriate feeling is somewhere in between. I'm certainly not as outraged. I was way more against the product originally and the pricing of it than the two of you guys when it was first announced. About this was just, the bottom line is that this is not a celebration product.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
If they wanted to make Secret Lair, Jumbo, Mega, Triple X, whatever, and market that and sell it, I would care a lot less. But that this is, record-breaking profits. Magic's doing better than ever. We're making more and more money. Magic is growing. We have Arena. We're doing well. We want to celebrate. Let's do that by whale farming is not how I would like to see Magic promote it. And I think that is why there is so much outrage in this product. Not because the product itself is necessarily bad. Evan, I know you had a lot of defense as to why it was priced the way it was because of, the secondary market and not devaluing the original pieces. I get all of that, but that is not celebrating Magic.
Yeah. And the big mistake here is, in my opinion, is not the product itself. The product itself has buyers and has people that want it. The mistake here was saying that it was the 30th anniversary product. naming it 30th anniversary, putting it in booster packs that were originally marketed as this is the 30th anniversary product, and they're $250 a piece. That's a huge fumble. There should have been something else, literally anything else, to celebrate 30 years of Magic that wasn't the most expensive thing, especially when you keep saying to people, not every Magic product is for you. But then you say that the thing that's celebrating the entire history of the game isn't for everybody. That's a huge fumble. I still don't think that this product is a huge mistake to have made. The way it's been rolled out, the way it was marketed, and the reception from the community bears this out, is the biggest drama of the year by a wide margin.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are multiple YouTube channels that just started posting videos constantly, got amazing traction. At this point, this story got so huge, it literally hit mainstream. We had Philly D doing stuff. We had the streamer Asmongold, who had, you know, it was gigantic and has like 1 billion plus followers on YouTube, which was huge. You know, this got out beyond just us. This got to the CNBCs. This got to affect Hasbro's stock price. This got to be like, what are y'all doing? This feels bad. And it just kind of kept going. And between Tolarian Community College laying it out so clearly as to the issues and problems a lot of people have with it, and the whole spreading toxicity to other, you know, communities, it's rough. It's bad. And again, when celebrations are for only those who are able to pay $250 a pack, doesn't feel a whole lot like a celebration. Now, again, I know they had the countdown product, and it was fantastic. That was a product that sold out. But, and they had the promos they're doing throughout the year for the local game stores. Thanks, Pharmacist Judge, for noting that. I get that, right? But they ended it very poorly.
Yeah.
Even if this had just been something they added later and didn't like include during the 30th anniversary product rundown, you know what I mean? Like, oh, one more thing, and then we talk about it this other day. But it was the same day as those other releases, and it just dominated everything else. And so nothing else really got attention.
I think if there was another item that was so they gave us the secret layer for the 30th anniversary at the 30th anniversary event. But the problem is that we noted that here on the show that product did not have anything to do with the anniversary, right? It wasn't a secret layer that had one card for the, you know, one iconic card from every decade. It didn't really like have anything to do with it. I feel like even if they wanted to roll this out for the 30th anniversary, they needed another scapegoat product that would have allowed people to do exactly what you're saying, Evan, and that's celebrate Magic in some way. Maybe even some sort of product that was like a built-in chaos draft, or like sort of like the mystery boosters, right? But with cards from every decade, every set, everything, something like that they could have then pieced out and allowed people to play Magic and celebrate the anniversary, and then have this sort of like whale bait at the top that we don't necessarily have to care about, but this is the iconic product. And I think that's where the mistake was.
Now, this is the one that had the Black Lotus in it, right? And so that's the one that's going to get the attention every time.
I mean, we've said on this show and, you know, everywhere for a long time, the reserved list is bunk. We should get rid of it. We want to open Black Lotuses in packs. How do we preserve the history? And then Wizards was like, here's a product that does the thing. And then we said, no, not like that. But unironically, because no, not like that. They did it very wrong. There was a way to do this right. And when this product was announced, I was very in favor of it because we've long been asking for this. We've wanted to open a booster pack, and open a Mox.
Right.
Like, I want to own a Mox Ruby someday. You know what I mean? And this was a way for me to be able to do that. And this is the only way that a lot of people would be able to do that. And, you know, this idea was something we floated a couple times on various Magic Mike's shows of various kinds. The rollout of this was so poor, the messaging was so poor, that even if the seed of the idea at one point was good, the well has been well beyond poisoned, and there will never be another product like this.
So, you know,
good or bad.
Right. So, you know, again, this is one just random idea, was that part of the issue was what you got was so little. 4 packs for $1,000. If you'd gotten a box, 36 packs, like in a beta looking box with a 30th anniversary stamped on it, literally same makeup, same back, same everything. That's like almost $28 a pack. That's a little bit more than a collector booster, but it's not unreachable, right? It's not unfathomable. That would have been.
The problem is you were justifying the price of these packs because of what's in them. But now you're saying it would have been okay if the packs were like.
I'm not saying it would have been okay.
Of the price.
It would have. Well, the thing was they could never acknowledge the secondary market, and also if it was going to impact it greatly, they didn't know that. So if the product had been cheaper, maybe collector's edition doesn't move at all. But if the product had been cheaper and collector's edition, bottoms out, well then that's a problem. Yeah. So.
I mean,
I don't know.
This is all ifs and buts.
Ifs and buts, candy and nuts. Yeah,
we'd all have.
I just don't think we can say that they should have marketed it at a cheaper price, while also saying that like they have to keep it at that high price without like tanking the value of the other pieces.
No, when you spelled out the value, Evan, I mean, the value makes the value that they put on the pack makes sense in the manner that you spelled it out.
Right.
Right. It is collector's edition pricing.
Yes.
I don't think that there's an argument against that. The argument is either you ignore that entirely and you just sell it as a booster box, like you were saying, or you revamp the entire rollout structure. You don't put it in booster packs. You market it as an extremely limited thing that isn't the 30th anniversary product.
Yeah. Right.
There's a couple of ways they could have gone and they did neither. And now Magic once again has the blaring white hot spotlight of regular culture, like Philip DeFranco, Asmongold, not to mention CNBC, and outlets like that. So I think there was a way where this wouldn't have been an abject failure, but we aren't in that reality. And so this is, sadly.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're going to start being in that mainstream media a lot more when you have like athletes wearing lotuses around their necks to sporting events, and Wizards is starting to print cards that are worth more than diamonds at this point, when they prefer to wear a Mox, or a Lotus around their neck than something else. And that did happen, right? Like Hunter Pence, we're starting to see, who's that? Paul Logan bought a Pokemon card for $6.3 million, I think was the total. Jesus. The rare. Yeah. Like it's insane. It's worth more than diamonds and gold. So people are starting to get hot and heavy. Right, and we want to play.
Right. They're becoming status symbols, right? And I understand that there's a status behind being able to have a Lotus of any form or fashion, even if it looks like a 30th anniversary one or not. But pricing came out for the old border Black Lotus is on a buy list now for like $2,200. And so that's basically the line has been drawn in terms of value of where at least the secondary market is putting them right now. And so where we go from that, I don't know. But a lot of people were saying that, old border Lotus would be like 10 grand. Right. If your buy list is usually about 50% of the retail. So if they're saying the retail is 4,500 or so, that's not where we wanted to be. But again, and like we spoke in the pre-show, it is ultimately a lot self-correcting because so few sold. The ones that did sell are going to be worth that much more. I think there is a very negative stigma, but I don't think that stigma lasts forever. And at some point, people go, these are really hard to find Magic cards, and they're the cheapest Mox or Lotus that I can afford or get my hands on. Just give me that one. And that's how Collector's Edition used to be crap. Yeah, Collector's Edition used to be garbage. Like, you guys got to remember, for years, we're talking even back when I first got hired at Star City, the Lotus was like $100 or something. You know what I mean? Like, because it was a Lotus. But eventually people were like, wait, we put these in Commander decks. We put these in cubes. And they just started going.
Wizards said we should make another Collector's Edition, and a finger curled on the monkey's paw. And these will be worth probably something like Collector's Edition, meaning they'll be reviled for the next decade.
And one day,
and they'll be expensive.
They'll turn that corner.
And then they'll be expensive. So I'll just sit on my 5 packs.
Yeah.
There you go. So we'll move on to gather the townsfolk thanks to our sponsor, cardhoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. Check them out. Tell them we sent you. Not to go too far into showcasing what Wizards is doing, because some people we get too shilly when I just think Magic cards are cool. But whatever. There are some new secret layers coming, as there are almost all the time these days. There were some incredibly unique ones that showed up, including the cereal box ones that I have up on the screen right now.
The commercial for the cereal box
is amazing.
Cards is amazing.
Yes.
Those puppets that they had in that commercial are the best. And I'm not just saying that because I am obsessed with puppets and the Muppets and the
Puppets. But, and I put this here on my Twitter. To me, it was not just the cards look like cereal boxes. There's been mock-ups like that in the past. It was the little games on the back of the cards, the matching game, the crossword puzzle. That's unreal cool.
Is this the first secret layer other than dual-faced cards where the back is not actually magic backed?
I think so.
Sounds about right.
Because these cards naturally have magic backs. They're not like modal cards.
Right.
So this is just one of the first cards we're seeing that is not a modal card that has a different backing. That's interesting.
Yeah, just for flavor, right? And the flavor is unreal. How many times do we sit back and look at the back of our cereal boxes as a kid that look just like something like this, right? Find the number of words on the Honey Nut Cheerios or whatever. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. One of the things they're changing up with this secret layer drop, which is definitely interesting, which is that little the Scarab God bonus card right there in the top right. They have a little thing that says minimum purchase required. So you got to spend at least $200 on the upcoming secret layer stuff in order to get the copy of the Scarab God, and every $200 gets you a copy of it. So if you spend $400, you get 2 of them, and so on. This is the first time where Wizards really sort of put a line where they kind of want to get you to. And they're like, hey, we know you'll spend $40 or $45 or whatever it is to get you the one, but what if you just went a little bit higher and we'll give you that really sweet mythic promo that's likely going to help, bridge that gap between buying $200 worth of these crazy Magic cards and what you're supposed to get out of them. So that is super duper interesting. But Alexi Bricklot here, and it's one large painting. It's one diptych, I think is what they call that.
Yes.
It might be a triptych or a quadtych. I don't know what they call it, but either way, the idea of having, another secret layer for an artist, which I think is brilliant. Again, that the Scarab God, I think is super duper rad, and is going to be very expensive because you had to spend $200 in order to just get a copy of it.
Yeah.
That's a trippy Scarab God.
Yeah. I don't like the Scarab God.
I actually don't either.
Yeah. It's too, I looked at it and didn't think it was a Magic card. Mm-hmm. At first, and I say that a lot with secret layers these days, but this one in particular is I can't even tell that's remotely a Magic card.
Well, I would argue that that's probably not why you dislike it, because the card, the cereal box you loved, and that looked way less than a Magic card.
Yeah,
so
that's true. This I don't
just don't like the art.
Yeah, I don't like the art. I don't see the title. It takes me too long to see that it's the Scarab God.
Yeah. Same.
And there's some other ones. They're still, digging into the Transformers stuff. Collective Brutality with Transformers art and stuff, I think is rad. Greater Good's neat.
I saw one or two creators get this. I'm a little jelly. I love Transformers. If you log on to my internet, how you can sometimes see the devices that are connected to it. Mm-hmm. All of my devices have Decepticon names.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I'm a big Transformers geek, so I like this.
Oh yeah, very cool. You have the Allspark as the doubling cube, which is brilliant. While you also have Optimus Prime as Darksteel Colossus, and then Megatron as Blightsteel Colossus. And these I think are similar to the cereal box, which is they're double-sided, even though they don't need to be per se. Yeah. And I'm totally okay with that. I don't give a damn. There's been double-sided cards for years, so I'm not sure what that really changes, to be honest. Frank Frazetta having an artist Secret Layer, this is actually kind of huge in my opinion. Yes. This gets us closer to classic art on real Magic cards. ...
Yeah. Frank Frazetta is a huge name in science fiction and fantasy art. Right. He's a Eisner Award winner. I assume Hall of Famer. He's been around forever. He was the subject of a Death Saves collection, which is a D&D partnership. He's been on album covers. He's, not to mention comic books and graphic novels forever. Probably the most famous artist to appear on a Magic card by name. I mean, it's close with some of the Liliana and the Sorin that we got. But this is a huge deal.
Yeah. And the art looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the artwork just looks incredible. And it was a hell of a get. This is very similar to the Bob Ross, right? Lands and whatnot that they have. The Happy Little Gathering, which is great. And, there's definitely, I feel like, are we trending towards Starry Night on a Magic card? Right. It feels like we're on that road. Like, we're going to get Monet on Magic cards. You know what I'm saying? To the point where you go...
That's an expensive license, I'm sure.
Is it? A lot of that stuff might be in the public domain, right? Like, I'm not saying the Frazetta stuff. I'm not saying the Bob Ross stuff. But, the really, really, really old stuff.
Some Mona Lisa.
Right. Do we want Mona Lisa on a Magic card? Question mark?
But, I mean, Frank Frazetta is... It's kind of I don't think people really appreciate just how legendary Frank Frazetta is.
Oh yeah,
because he's done movie posters. He's
in terms of fantasy artwork, he's on the Rushmore. He's he's on the mountain.
Before we go any further with it, though, I do want to say I am not a huge fan of the term or the phrase. We are getting close to having real art on Magic cards.
Forgive me. I mean, art in museums. Forgive me. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean there's no real art.
Every artist starts somewhere, and I would venture to say that a lot of the artists that Magic has worked with over the years eventually will be in museums.
I agree.
So, eye of the beholder here. We're a little ahead of our time.
And I'm the guy who's saying that Eric Klug's artwork is going to be in museums one day. So trust me, these all wonderful artists. Obviously, that was a horrible way to explain it. But either way, sort of the classic artists from, periods, old time periods gone by, that's all in museums at this point.
Yeah.
That's the artwork I'm curious is going to make into Magic cards. Either way, that'll be neat. We'll see.
That'd be cool to have a whole set of just classical art, and they just formed an art Starry Night is some sort of crazy thing, or the one with the ghost, right? The ghost guy.
Right. The Scream.
Yeah. Scream. Make it like a horror or something. A 3/3. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Sure.
Or you could
Starry Night Plains.
Starry Night Plains, Hatred as the Scream. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. There's a lot of options there again, and there's some people who don't want that at all. They don't want to see the Monets and the Picassos on a Magic card, and I understand that as well. It's a little weird because again, at some point there aren't really any copyrights. There's no real family or estate or whatever that manages that stuff because it's been in the public for hundreds of years. So debate amongst yourselves. We want to reach out and, give a shout out to Sheldon Menery. He's been having some health issues recently. The founder, the godfather of Commander, if you will. And a wonderful dude and fantastic. He has been discharged from the hospital. He was in the hospital for a little bit and appears to be headed home. And that's obviously great news. And I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, looks like he had a pretty serious bout with pneumonia. Mm-hmm. And if he's well enough to be sent home, that is nothing but good news.
Yeah.
That is not an escalation. That is the de-escalation. So,
yeah.
Absolutely. So good luck on the recovery, of course, Mr. Sheldon. As we move on here to Desperate Ravings, check out our altar sleeves. Support the show by using the code MAGICMIKES at checkout for 5% off anything in the store, including a set of exclusive sleeves featuring the Magic Mike's crew at altersleeves.com/MagicMikes. The URL is up on the screen right now. There was a very interesting podcast that Mr. Mark Rosewater made that was talking about the challenges of designing for non-rotating formats. And I thought this was kind of brilliant. There were some things that he mentioned were, for example, that mistakes stick around forever. If they go too far, if they make it too good, if they make it too ubiquitous, if they make it the best thing at X mana value, it's largely going to stick there forever. And because of that, R&D is less willing to take risks and push boundaries because they know if the card doesn't work out, they're stuck with it forever. It's interesting. The formats often tend to be defined by mistake cards, which makes sense. I mean, I lived through an Umazawa's Jitte era, for example. Era, even though an error would be better. But stuff like he says, Smothering Tide is an example of a mistake card that gives players a wrong impression, which I would argue I'm not exactly sure about that, but all right. It's harder to design a new resource in regards to Commander because it takes a lot of cards that care about that resource to make a Commander deck than a standard deck. It's definitely harder to get players excited about returning themes. Myrel uses wedge cards as an example. New wedge cards are less exciting to players because they might still be playing with existing wedge cards. Okay. I mean, I think at this point, types of multicolor cards is not going to do it. But I think make this world come alive in Magic cards is where we're at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of, so I'm not going to go over like every single point forever, but it was really interesting in basically saying that, look, it's tough to make cards that aren't like crazy. You don't want to go too far because again, they might be a mistake. You might screw something up and then you deal with it forever. Impacts on what mechanics can go in sets because at least one new mechanic from each set has to be suitable to be the basis of a commander deck, which is also kind of interesting. And harder to design cards to take advantage of ways the set's unique, like white zombies from Amonkhet. There's not going to be a lot of zombie decks that put the white zombies in their decks because they're not white, right? They're not going to have white in that commander deck.
Right.
So that's interesting, and it's impossible to test new cards against every single Eternal Legal card, which makes sense. And it increases the demand for reprints, but I'm not sure Wizards finds that as a problem, to be honest. But okay. But yeah, I thought it was neat. And someone noted this is the planar chaos problem cranked to 11.
Sure.
There was definitely some lessons around there where once they made Damnation, a line
Cat's
was
out of
drawn.
the bag. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't see how. So I think that he's talking about two different things here, and I don't see how they're connected. One is the proliferation and just number of cards in non-rotating formats, right? Mm-hmm. That is going to be a thing, and as more cards get added, the best thing becomes better, et cetera, right? Then we've got the unique identity of colors/ places in Magic, of how far do we step over the edges of what a card and what a color and what a color pair can do together. This feels like two different issues to me. I don't really see how they're connected, but Mark Rosewater is a much smarter person than I am, so maybe they're connected and I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know enough about set design, and I am usually one of the last people to complain about a set or about a card, whether, cards are oppressive or whatever, just because I know a lot of the R&D people, and they are a lot smarter than I am. So I usually will have very little to comment on these sorts of things.
So one of the cards that got brought up was Draneth Magistrate. And if you don't remember what that card does, it's a rare from Ikoria for a white and a generic mana for a 1/3 human wizard that says your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands, which means you cannot play your commanders while this is out. This thing was preeminently banned in Brawl and Historic Brawl. They just don't even let you have it, but it's still legal in Commander for reasons I don't even know, because this thing seems really annoying for no good reason in that format. But, it was necessary for Standard at the time.
Yeah,
but kind of annoying in Commander forever.
I mean, it's not that annoying. It's a 3 toughness creature in a 4-player game. If you guys can't kill a 3 toughness creature, you're gonna die anyway.
Right.
Like that seems pretty minor in Commander.
Right. It was bad in Standard because a 1/3 for 2 is not good. It's good in Commander because no one can kill a 1/3 for 2. That's a problem for the format more than it is a problem for the card. However, it does illustrate the wider point that when you print Drannith Magistrate or you print, random hate bearers that you just don't really appreciate Thassa's Oracle is another one that is like this, where you're just like, or, even something as weird as like a Tocatli Honor Guard, right? Where you're just like, this is going to have impact on something someday. This is the birthing pod problem. Is like, eventually this card's going to be a problem.
Right.
We can't prepare for every eventuality. I guess Drannith Magistrate is being yelled at for the sins of the companion mechanic, kind of. And for the sins of let people do what they want in Commander. So, take it or leave it. I play Singleton Elimination in my Commander decks. I play cards like, Pongify and Swords to Plowshares and stuff like that. So, but I understand that there are some play groups that are like, I don't want to play anything that isn't a ramp spell until turn 4.
Fair enough. There was a fun little thread by Bill Stark, who is no longer with Wizards, but has lots of fun Wizard stories. And this time he was talking about Liquimetal Coating. That's the 2-mana artifact that lets you make a permanent an artifact in addition to its other types till end of turn. Now, they just made another Liquimetal artifact in Modern Horizons 2. I wish both were on Harina, honestly, just so I can play that stupid deck. But either way, what he was talking about was that stupid deck was, hey, don't play with this card and Shatter at the pre-release events that he was going to as WotC staff, because we don't want to give anybody any ideas and they didn't have time to test it. And it's bad, don't worry. But it's a funny story of what might have been / it sounds very typical of Wizards of don't give them any ideas. They'll try themselves. We don't need to get ahead of that curve.
Yeah, very funny that this was they were like, hey, don't play the build your own Flame Tongue Kavu deck. Right? This is play Liquimetal Coating, and then I would play like a Manic Vandal or an Oxida Scrap Melter, and they were afraid of that deck being too good is very funny to me.
You never know.
How you remember card names, I have no idea.
Oh, because I built this deck and it was very bad.
I still can't remember names of cards. Like, it's not close.
He would be good.
I can tell you what the
Jeopardy.
art looks like. I can draw it for you.
Okay.
Oxida Scrap Melter looks like a very angry porcupine. Is what it looks like. And Manic Vandal is a dude with a hammer.
There you go. Well, unfortunately, for those who use the website Card Conjurer, Wizards shut it down with a cease and desist. This was a website that was used to help create proxies. Now, there is some talk that it might have been used, that the website might have been used to create a fake version of Myrel that showed up in Brothers War. Remember, we got like that one little corner or whatever that somebody found in a dumpster or something. And so somebody made a mock-up with that website, and maybe that's what caused all the problems. We don't know. Of course, the other narrative was, hey, they just so happen to be attacking this proxy sort of maker printer website while also making proxies to sell you for very expensive,
Yeah.
Only Wizards can be in the business of proxies.
I know, right?
I don't.
Right. So I don't know. Oftentimes these things get linked because they just so happen to fall, next to each other. That happens all the time. It really does. A lot of people think Wizards is like 4D chessing always. Most of the time it's just the left hand didn't know the right hand was cease and desisting, right? You gotta do. It's wild.
Okay, I think that might be the funniest thing I've heard you say on the show. Like,
the left hand doesn't know that the right hand is cease and desisting. It's a very good quote.
I mean, Wizards, I love you. Things, but
as far as I'm concerned, that's the funniest thing I have heard so far. That was great.
When the legal warning fits, got it. Yeah. So let's move on here to a little bit of splash damage, some things to celebrate. Desert Bus raised over $1 million this year. That is incredible.
Yep.
which is awesome. And Ruben, do you have any thoughts on D&D moving away from race and more towards species?
Yes. So this has been a long time coming. And I think that, listen, Dungeons and Dragons was invented in a different time. And many of the things were not... have evolved. Our thoughts on culture and words have evolved. And using race to denote different abilities is maybe a little problematic. So this has been a long time coming. I like species. I think species is the right way to go. I think that a lot of the ideas that they have with 1D&D to sort of make it 5.5. And I think that having the conversation is good. I like that they're willing to be open about it. We'll see. I have not participated in any of the 1D&D playtest material stuff. The people that I know that are way up on it seem to be enjoying it. And it's not ruining the game. It's not, changing Dungeons and Dragons in a fundamental way that makes it not the world's greatest role-playing game anymore. This is entirely a good change, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't know about this, and I never really knew that using the term race there would be problematic. But I think it actually makes more sense for it to be species, because, like, a half-orc and a human, they are not different races of the same species, right. I guess. So, like, it totally actually makes sense. Like, some games you can play, like, a dragon, and they call that a race, which just does not make sense when you're comparing it to a human. So, like, right. I now I see how it could be also problematic. So a thing that is slightly problematic and also just makes more sense anyway. Yeah. 10 out of 10.
And we also understand, Pharmacist Judge, that it might not be the most scientifically technical term of species.
Listen,
but we're getting closer.
It's dragons. Like,
a lot of people think that decimate means to destroy something and not take a tenth of it away. Okay, that's just that's just where we're at.
It is closer.
It's good enough. It's better than it was, and that's the best we can do. Is be better than we were yesterday.
And I will absolutely take it. So let's turn the corner here to the finisher. I recently dug up a big old box of old Magic Mike's promo materials. Maybe some playmats and magnets, maybe some stickers and water bottles, some tokens, regular metal and foil, the whole bit. It's been 7.5 years of swag now. So tell me, what piece of Magic Mike's lore would you like to most get in the mail this gift-giving season, Ruben?
Well, let's get some Mox potatoes in the chat, because I would love to get some new Magic Mike's emotes, as well as some Magic Mike's potatoes, as long as they haven't gotten rotten in the half decade since we first debuted that particular image.
Nerd girl.
All right. Well, having not been here for 7 years like you two old farts, I'd love literally anything. A sticker, a magnet, a playmat. But at this point, I would even settle for an on-time Google Doc from Evan, or for a certain co-host to not sleep through future episodes.
Wow. Shame. The shame we experience. Look, digging through the history of the show was a ton of fun, but in the last 2,745 days since our first show, we've definitely done a lot. But the thing I'd like most to get this holiday season is you to like, favorite, share, subscribe, and do everything social tells people we exist. That's right.
All I want for Christmas is you
to like, favorite, share, subscribe. Everything social tells people we exist. And that ends the live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things magic. Thank you, Nerd Girl.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you.
We're going to move on here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com and AlterSleeves.com, my co-host, MTG Nerd Girl, and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mike subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.